Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the biggest stories in CSGO, quicker than we can stop watching dead teams. A quick reminder, rate and reviews at the end of the episode. My name is Logan. This is Aizyesque. On today's episode, we talk about Nitro possibly coming back to Counter-Strike. We talk about how there's a trillion dead teams and how we're fairly sure that Peacemaker is going to nip. Roll the intro. There's not that much that has happened recently.
And yet, there's still a lot that's happened. But mainly, it's like in the playing the game bit where things have happened.
Yes.
Which is different to like when nobody's playing the game and yet things are still happening.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we went live, but it's weird that there's still tournaments going on after the major, and like both of us were talking about like the major. It feels like that should be major, then player break, everyone go home.
Yeah, as much as like it seems like you want. So the thing, there's sort of like two conflicting arguments, right? Because one of them is like once the major's in, that's when you get like people get pulled back in, they get sucked back into the game who haven't like cared for a little while, and then you've got all this momentum where people want to watch Counter-Strike, but we have to watch dead teams just again. Like we have to watch Mousesports with a team they're not going to play in 2 weeks. You have to watch Liquid. You have to watch like, even Vitality and G2. All right, G2 got Kenny S, so they're kind of interesting again. But like even Vitality, even though they're doing well, it's like, yeah, but
this isn't going to exist.
Why?
Like you have to, and like Liquid and Vitality are some of the worst defenders of this in the way that like you're watching dead teams in giant tournaments.
Yeah.
It's
not like doing well, so it's not even like they go out early and then you could enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of wanted to watch Stralis for once, but
then Liquid beat him and kicked him out.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I mean, I guess that's probably quite a damning indictment of the new Stralis roster. They're losing to dead NA teams, but
dead NA teams that couldn't win against them for the last 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Nitro was the problem.
We'll get into that. All right, let's start on our first topic of the day. We want to talk about IAM Winter. We are done with group stages. We are into the playoffs. We're actually halfway through the playoffs already.
Yeah, the ESL do this thing where they like to have a week break between, the big chunk of the tournament and then the finals. So they have like 5 days to do like storylines and video work and stuff, which is interesting. But that's why we have like a 5-day break in the middle of the tournament.
I have no issue with it because it means I don't have to watch Counter-Strike in the middle of the week while I'm trying to figure out finals. So
yeah, sure,
it's convenient for me right now. So we through this whole thing, right? Somehow Godsent made it out of their group.
Don't say that. I say somehow. This is a great team. Wonderful team. I love Godsent.
How high is the hopium for Godsent right now with you?
All right. So this was a good performance from them, but I think they'll be a little bit disappointed to be going out in the quarters in a tournament where this is about as good a chance, if you're a team like Godsent, this is about as good a chance you're going to get to make a semis of a big event.
Yeah.
Okay, you get NIP who are half decent in the quarterfinals, but it's also winnable. It's also they're a beatable team for a team like Godsent. And I think they'll be a little bit disappointed. Yeah, okay, it's their first big event and it's the first time they've done well, but it was a good opportunity for them to go even further, and I think they'll be a little bit disappointed. But they did show a little bit of what they're about and show why we were like quite high on them coming into the major. This team is like packed with talent. It's just whether or not they can find a way to express that, I suppose.
Yeah. And something interesting about the Godsent team this week is Taco actually played well.
Yeah, that was strange.
Which you look at this roster and you go, wow, look at that. All these other Brazilian players that are going to do so much fragging, and Taco, who's going to be the veteran and kind of lead them. No, Taco fragged, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, he fragged for a little bit, and then I think he dropped off, as you expect, right? I mean, he has the ability to do that. He has done it from time to time. He's also like an okay AWPer, which we saw a little bit of. I mean, everyone on Godsent can AWP. It's something we talked about before. Um, and it's almost worth him AWPing over somebody else just because then you at least have 5 players instead of 4 players in Taka.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's not a worrying sign for Godsend if Taco is fragging. But you'd rather be winning and Taco not fragging in a sense. Like you'd rather
Yeah,
win with Taco getting like 9 kills because you're like that's kind of how our team is supposed to work. If you're winning because Taco's fragging, it's like
that's a
how
problem.
sustainable is this? Or is
Yeah.
this just a fluke? Like, you know that game where like Zeus dropped 30 against Peak Astralis and they won?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, but we know that's never going to happen again.
Um. Yeah. So Godsent made it to the quarters. The other team that made it to the quarters that's out now is Gambit, who the last couple months have been kind of rough for Gambit with the return
Gambit,
to LAN.
so it's difficult to know whether or not it's the fact that they're on LAN that's hurting them, or if it's just like the natural ebb and flow of being a top team. Like how many times have we seen a team, for example, Furia, a great example, like rise astronomically right to the top, and then they have this dip where people figure them out a little bit, and people
Mhm.
like study them really hard, and then like people figure them out a little bit, and they have their sort of issues that they have to work through, and then is whether or not you come through that and become like a constant team at the top, or you become a bit of an also ran. Um, so there is like precedent for that, but it could also just be the return to LAN has hurt them in ways that we don't know. I subscribe to the theory that it's more the first and the second, but I mean it also can't be ignored. I mean the way they play, like Axile just taking dry angels all the time, like to take map control.
That's it's not sustainable.
Eventually, yeah, like that's less powerful when you don't have as much peakers advantage. Like that is you are going to get found out a little bit more doing that on LAN. Um,
Mhm.
but at the same rate, I think a lot of it is probably the fact that this is just a natural cycle of a team.
Yeah, my bet in the end of the day is that it's probably a little bit of both. There's no chance that this is 100% in either direction. There's no chance this is 100%. Oh no, they're fine on LAN. Everything's good. There's no chance this is everyone's figured us out and or no one's figured us out and we just can't play on LAN. This is definitely a combination of both.
Yeah,
It's hitting. Fortunately, it's kind of hitting at a nice time where they've got this tournament and one more tournament and they're done for the year.
yeah,
Right, that where you're kind of hitting this towards the end. But it's not. You hope to never hit it. I think is kind of where I'm going with this.
yeah, of course. But they can
Um,
look back on this year and be proud of what they achieved.
oh, this year was great for Gambit.
Yeah,
Gambit stock's very high still this year.
yeah. I mean, you can look back and take plenty of positives. Um, and just go, oh well, we petered out a little bit, but if you'd have said at the start of the year or like sometime last year to Gambit, you know, ah, you'll peter out in the semis of the major, they'd be like,
They're
snap your
happy with
fucking
that.
arm off. Like there's, they wouldn't even blink twice. They'd snap your arm. Like when you think about it, the fact that that's a disappointment to them is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. The fact that they're disappointed with like top 4 events, like or top 8 even.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible for them. Um, and I think it would do them no good to look at that as a negative and instead look at it as the natural cycle of being a team, especially a team as young as them. Like they're going to have peaks and troughs. That's what it's about. Like if they were consistently that good, they'd be one of the greatest teams of all time, and they've got plenty of time to do that. Like plenty of time to sort of make a legacy. It's just figure out what you can do and what you can't do on LAN, and what you can do and can't get away with against teams like this. And then from there you can sort of build on that rather than thinking, oh, we were so good before, what's gone wrong? Think about what do we have we can build on here, because you're still one of the best teams in the world.
Mm. So I want to throw this in now about Gambit is that uh, the Gambit Youngsters program is coming back next year.
Yeah.
There was confirmation today from Gambit Esports themselves on the tweeters, um, that basically was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a Gambit youngsters for next year," which I'm. And it says in the tweet, first of all, the team will be looking for young players. Perhaps there will be an experienced player as well.
Hmm.
Which
Zeus. They're gonna bring back Zeus.
I feel like
You
that would
can't
be.
tell me you wouldn't want that.
Oh
You
no, I'd
can't tell
watch
me
that.
you wouldn't want
I'd
that.
watch that. I'd watch
Yeah,
that any day of the
exactly.
week.
Give me Zeus and 4 Zoomers. That's a team.
Okay, wait. This sounds better. I think
The
that I think
Zeus and Zoomers.
regardless of what the team is, Gambit has shown that their academy program is very good. Um,
Or at least the last one was.
or at least the last one.
It's hard to know how much of that is luck and how much of it is planning.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, when does the new Gambit youngsters overtake current Gambit?
That would be amusing. They just put their other team back to youngsters. Like, nah, not good enough.
All
We got some other Zoomers for you. I mean,
right.
I guess I don't know what the end goal is because it's difficult to want to replace anyone on Gambit.
Yeah.
So it's like, is the end goal to find other players to bring into the starting lineup? Is the end goal to sell the Gambit youngsters team for money? Is the end goal to find somebody to replace Hobbit in a couple of years when maybe he retires? Like, what's the end goal here? Because you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who want to replace anyone on Gambit right now.
Yeah. All right. I want to turn our eyes to the rest of the teams, two of which are one of which is like a dead team, one of which is like it's got Kenny S on it, another, and then the other two teams are in the process of debuting their new lineup still. So let's start with the dead team. Let's start with Vitalite. I don't know why I said it like that. Uh,
I did wonder. I was like, have you been to Canada recently? What's going on?
I got a lot of friends who are Canadian, but no,
Any
not
of them
French
French
Canadian.
Canadian? I
Not
guess
French Canadian.
this is different.
Nova Scotian, man.
I don't know what that means, but
Cold,
that's cool.
cold.
I
It's
assume all
it's
of Canada is cold.
no, it's the really cold part of Canada.
Right. Okay.
Let's talk about Vitality. Uh, yeah, this team is so weird because it's like on death's doorstep, and everything that everyone has said is just still being true.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter how close to death you are when you have Zaiwu. Like, he will just carry you. Like, it's
Yeah,
like they are kind of just back to the Zaiwu carries us days, and everyone else just tries not to throw the game. Like that one game when he dropped like 75 kills, everyone else was on like 50. It's like, yeah, no, we're back. I mean,
yeah,
Apex has been really good, to be fair, which is, I mean, is a good sign for Vitality because they're two of the players that they're keeping.
yeah. So do you know what the was I was rating over a 3 map series against Gambit was in the
Oh,
quarters?
Jesus Christ. Like, it's going to be obscenely high. I don't know what it was, but
1.42.
yeah, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like, the
So
fact that he's not the best player in the world is absolutely astounding. And the fact that he isn't the best, like, think about it, he's not the best player in the world. He just jumped to 1.42 rating in a quarterfinal against one of the best teams in the world on a dead team. It's like, yeah, no, he's second best.
yeah, and
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
last
See.
week when they played Nip, it was 1.55. So
I mean, that
it's
is against NIP. That barely counts.
yeah. And then they went to overtime against Mouse Sports. So
Yeah, I mean, Zaiwu is just ridiculous. Like, he is maybe the best hard carry player of all time. Like, Simple is the best player of all time, but
yeah,
he's rarely. I mean, he has been able to hard carry teams, but I don't think he hard carries as hard as Zaiwu does. Like, Simple often hard carries in a close loss. Like, when he's on a bad
yeah.
team, they would always come close but never win it. When Zaiwu's on a bad team, he somehow wins the game with 100 frags. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Like nobody can like 1v9 anywhere near as hard as him. Like, it's actually obscene. He will actually just carry a game that he has no right to win.
So gut check. Do we think that the rumored Vitality changes are going to do anything?
Um, See, it seems so wrong to say yes because everything in you is screaming that this team won't work. Do you know what I mean? Like everything
Yes.
feels like it shouldn't work, but then I don't know, man. I have faith in Zonic. I think. I mean, I don't know. I think I do. I didn't have that much faith in him, and I actually had a conversation with Darth Mike, the Darth, um, and he was very high on Zonic and talked about what he thought he brought and from conversation stuff. And I was like, hey, you know what, I kind of buy into this theory that Zonic is like this great coach and not just incidentally the coach of the greatest team of all time.
Mhm.
Um, and I think seeing Astralis now without him, it's a little bit less. They're a little bit less formidable now. Ever since he's been a little bit disinterested, or rumors of him leaving have gone. So maybe there is something to Zonic actually being this like 900 IQ mastermind. I'm pretty sure what's going to happen in like a year or two's time is Astralis is just going to reform. I don't see. Like, it seems like that's definitely going to happen.
When you have the Danish Last Dance.
Yeah, like, do you not think it really? Like, there's already talk about Device going back. There's no way like they don't just like both teams like Vitality, NIP, and Astralis are all going to be bad, and then in like 2 years they're going to like try and recapture the magic and reform Astralis under a new brand.
Yeah,
Like
that's
like that has to happen.
yeah, North 2.0, 3.0.
Yeah, I think North are going to come back and sign the old Astralis roster. That's what's going to happen. I
All
don't know,
right.
like that's what it screams to. It screams that like these 5 players are somehow going to end up back together again, and everyone's going to pretend like they're going to be good in like 3 years when
They won't
they're
be.
obviously
Yeah.
not. I don't know. I'm not sure this Vitality team is going to be the best team in the world, but they will always have Zywoo. So like,
Yeah, they'll always have this hard carry. All right. I
have
wanna
you
talk.
heard Zywoo speak English, by the way? So
It's actually pretty good.
it is, but he has a really strong accent,
Yes.
and I really think they might have some communication issues because
I
like
see. I thought they were gonna have communication issues from the beginning because I didn't know Zylu spoke English. So like, I have found out that he speaks English now, right? And his
yeah,
English is pretty good, but it is still heavily French. Apex you can definitely understand, but it is still heavy. Apex is has the stereotypical French accent to English that
it
like
takes
you
me a
can think
couple of
of.
minutes to like adjust to hearing Apex. Like you hear him speak, and like at first it's like it's quite difficult, and then eventually you get into the flow and you can understand what he's saying, and it's kind of the same with Zywoo. And I will say that people who learn English as a secondary language generally find it easier to understand different accents because
Hmm.
they're used to hearing it in lots of different ways anyway.
Yeah,
But I do think Zywoo and Apex's English can be a little bit difficult to decipher, especially if it's like in a chaotic moment. So I think there might be some communication issues down the line due to that. Danish English is very easy to understand. There's only a few words that sound a little bit strange in a Danish accent, but
yeah. Like Esatag sounds like he's from America.
I can't remember ever hearing him speak.
You got to go listen to Esatag. It's impressively like normal sounding, like not like undanish. Um, I want a quick side note on the Zywoo speaking English thing. The reason I heard him speaking English was because of the setup videos that ESL is doing,
Yeah,
which is just like perfect content for me as the person who switches his keyboard switches every like 3 weeks and that kind of stuff. Fantastic content. Um,
I've been editing some of the interviews and stuff they've done, so I've had to listen to, and I was transcribing some of the videos as well. So you actually really have to listen and try and figure out what people are saying, which is why I sort of remembered it and realized it.
yeah. All right. We got three more teams to talk about right now. I want to get into Virtus Pro. So newsletter this week had a giant feature about Virtus Pro and that they're actually like better than we all remember.
They're consistently really good. Like they're consistently top 8. I think they finished top 8 or top 6 at every IEM event they've gone to this year. which is really impressive. Like, I
Yeah.
sort of didn't realize that. I think they've been really, really good this year. And it's kind of unfortunate for them that they're in a region with Gambit and Na'Vi, and then like, so no matter what, they're never going to be the best team at an event they're at, even if it's a regional one. So they always go under the radar. And now, like with the Sanji change, people didn't like that, and people don't like Virtus Pro because they cut their worst player for some reason. Um, the exact opposite of what happened to North. People hated North because they didn't cut their because they cut a player who wasn't apparently their worst player, even though Rubino was. But let's not get into that. People got very annoyed at them for cutting their worst player and bringing in Flit, who we've now all seen is a fucking brilliant player, which anyone who'd watched him actually knew, but a lot of people who hadn't watched him thought he was worse than Sanji for some reason. And now you see them now, and they are an insanely dangerous team. I think people are going to sleep coming into these quarterfinals. I think there's a very good chance VP win this.
All right.
I think they might be the best team at the event.
Okay. I think the next team we'll talk about might have some reservations about that, but
Well,
we'll
so
go with it.
if you look at the semi-finalists,
Yes.
NIP and VP, I think VP beat NIP earlier in the tournament and just generally look like a better team. I mean, NIP have like man for man, VP are comfortably better, I would say.
VP did not play NIP earlier in this tournament.
Did they not?
They
I'm
did not.
getting
They
them
were
mixed up
in
with somebody else.
different groups.
Okay, well, I'm getting them mixed up. But man for man, VP are a much better team than NIP. I'll stand up. I mean, Device versus Jame, whatever, probably slightly Device. But every single rifle a VP have is better than every single rifle NIP have.
Also, VP has Yukindar.
Exactly. Like Yukindar versus Rez, it's pretty simple. Like Flit versus Plopsky, it's pretty one sided.
Yep.
Like Buster versus Esatag, you can flip a coin on that one. It doesn't really matter. And then the other player on VP is
Hampus versus
Kika.
Kika. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kika is just like Kika completely goes under the radar as well. He's an excellent player, always has been. So like man for man, they're miles better than NIP, and it's just a case of and like I don't think NIP's strategic advantage even exists for us. I think VP's T sides are generally better. So I think VP are a better team than NIP. G2, they're probably not a better team than G2 normally.
I was gonna say
G2 with Kenny S.
Yes.
With Nico, I've heard is in-game leading at the moment.
Side note, I wanted so bad for Kenny S to be the IGL this week.
They just change it all the time.
So bad. No, because it was just like Nexa was IGLing, so you bring in the new guy who's gonna IGL for you. That
So
way
supposedly what happened is I heard Hunter say they've changed the roles. So like Amanek is now doing what Nexa was doing, Kenny S is doing what Amanek was doing, and then Nico's in-game leading.
Sure.
That's apparently what they're doing.
That sounds like so much movement.
I think he said they change who in-game leads on each map. And Jack's in-game leads the pistol rounds.
Okay, to be fair, that's a good call. Jax is insane on pistols.
Well, he like does all their pistol round strats, and they're pretty good at pistol rounds, so he's doing something right.
You know what? I love that. Just like IGL by roulette. Just
yeah, just changing. They do what Godsent do with the AWP is what G2 do with the in-game leader role.
You just spin the wheel.
So VP versus G2 is kind of up in the air because G2 have this strange new roster. So I think there's a decent chance VP are better than G2. And then Vitality, similar thing. Like it's kind of a game of can you stop ZywOo? And I think VP are diligent enough. They're like slow enough that you can suffocate teams a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And maybe they can sort of stop ZywOo having just complete control of the game. I mean, the other side of that coin is the game is slow. Vitality then have free reign to sort of just stand still and wait for ZywOo to do something. And it's the other side of that coin. But I don't think it's cut and dry Vitality being better than VP. I certainly don't. I think it's at best 50-50, and at worst slightly favoured for VP. They've been together longer, or they've been together a similar length of time, but they're sticking together. They haven't been together
Yeah,
because of Flip, but you know what I mean. Like the
yeah.
core has been together the same length of time, and they have they have their new roster. I think there's a really good chance that VP are the best team at this tournament.
All right.
I really do.
All right. So let's talk about those other two teams quickly. Let's talk about NIP. And we'll talk about G2. I think NIP has done adequate. That
Yeah,
is,
they've done the NIP.
they've gone to the lower bracket. They've won through the lower bracket.
I wrote something the other day about them being the Tottenham Hotspur of Counter Strike, and again, I know this reference
Actually,
doesn't
that one does. My
it does
roommate
mean
is a
something
big
to
Spurs
you.
fan, and my friend is a big Spurs fan. This
Okay,
reference works.
okay. Well,
Kind of.
NIP are the Tottenham Hotspur of Counter Strike. That no matter how good they are, you're never scared of them, and they always like heroically fail at the
Yes,
second to
because
last hurdle.
I've been told I should be a Tottenham Hotspur fan because of the other sports teams I'm a fan of, because they all do
Okay,
that same thing.
okay. That makes perfect sense then. Yeah, if you're somebody who, I mean, you're wearing an NIP shirt, so Spurs
Okay,
is a
to be fair, this is like literally I opened the drawer of shirts I have, and this was the first one on top, and I said, "Great, let's go."
yeah. Yeah. You actually own an NIP shirt, which means Spurs water off a duck's back to you. I really do think that I don't see NIP winning their semi-final game. I mean, I could be
No,
wrong, and I don't see them. I actually don't see them beating any of the three teams remaining.
neither do I. I think that NIP. I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, or I talked about this last week with James. NIP has gone back to the we don't know what to think about NIP stage of like I can't get excited about NIP because if I get excited about NIP, they're gonna do really bad. But the second I stop being excited about NIP, they like pull something out of absolutely nowhere. I think they've gotten back to that point.
You know that really old scientific study where like the conclusion or the sort of assumed conclusion is that atoms react differently if they're being observed. Do you know this thing?
Yes, I've heard of it.
That's kind of like NIP to me. It's like when you're expecting them to do something, they react very differently to when there's no pressure on. Like when you're not watching them, NIP are like the best team in the world, and then you like watch them, they're like this team's
It's
what?
terrible.
They're fine, but like why do they keep losing these rounds? Like what? Why are they getting like pulled apart? Like it's like they're very strange team. Like nothing really makes sense about NIP, and that seems to have been the case over multiple different rosters. And I'm not sure why they don't get treated like North did, where they're kind of like the butt of the joke. Because they're very much the same thing. They occasionally make like top four, top eight, or they consistently make top eight, but there's no threat of them winning it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they don't win IEM Winter with Navi not here, I think it's like, what's the point? You've got this is your new roster. This is the
This is your
roster you've
world
spent.
beater roster.
Yeah, this is a roster you've spent a lot of money on. If this doesn't win an event where the best team in the world aren't even there, and there's two dead rosters, one of which has a stand-in as well,
Yeah. I so
it's not good.
I got another gut check for NIP. Percentage chance that the vitality stuff falls through because Zonic wants to go to NIP as the coach.
Zero,
0.
zero.
Okay.
I don't see why would Sonic go to NIP? This is like a terrible idea.
You know, it was a thing flying around in my head that was like Zonic wants to go back and coach Device, and he thinks that this NIP squad is like I don't know that
I
he
don't
thinks
think
they'd be
Sonic and
peaceful with this
Device
NIP
like
squad.
each other that much anymore.
Okay.
You've seen the picture. Sonic giving him the side eye.
Yes, but I also have a feeling that that was just the like we need to beat them now.
We need
He
to wait for
was
Sonic's second book to find out.
we need the next book. All right, let's talk
That should be
about
the cover for his next book, by the way.
and the
Him just
cover.
like
Yeah, the cover for Device's book though should 100% be that photo that I was that like the one of him backstage with Banks on the front of the stage.
yeah.
fantastic photo.
Either
Um,
that or just him in Top Gun.
that's possible too. Uh, let's talk about G2. G2 is just fun right now. Like
This team is nonsense. It's
this
absolute nonsense.
this team is dumb.
I love that they're just in the semi-finals with Kenny S. Like
Just
they're just like, we just brought him back because Nexa can't get in the country, and we're still semi-finalists. Like Nico is just that good, I guess. I don't know.
it just seems like this just seems like a it's fun kind of thing. Like who
Yeah,
cares? Like
they're I think they basically said in interviews like our plan was to get to the semi-finals. We don't expect to get any further, so we're just gonna have fun. And it's like
yeah,
that is a dangerous mentality to play against,
they're
especially
just
if you're NIP and you have to play against G2. You'd be shitting yourself. You'd be like, Nico is here to have fun. What? Like like Nico's already dangerous. Nico when he doesn't give a fuck. How do you prepare for that?
he's just gaming.
He's just gaming. Like how do you prepare against a Nico that's just gaming? You just can't. You
Yeah.
can't actually prepare for G2 because they don't know what they're about to do. You can't prep for them. And
All
that's
right.
like what NIP maybe have like an advantage in is that they are a structured team and they will be able to like they will have set plans. They'll have set anti-strat. You can't anti-strat a team that doesn't have strats.
Ah, that's so great. All right, I want to switch focus to Blast Premier World Finals, which is the last tournament we have this year. We don't need to go into every single one of these teams, considering we've talked about one, two, three, four, five. We've talked about five of the eight of them
Yep.
already. Um, I want quick thoughts. Navi's winning this event, so who's coming in second? Is basically where I'm at.
Probably is Nexa back for G2? Probably G2. I don't know. Well, it's probably not Gambit. It's
Okay, well,
probably not
it's not going to be Liquid.
NIP.
It's not
It's
going to be
probably
Nip.
not Liquid. Astralis don't look that great. Heroic looked horrible at IAM Winter. So it's either Vitality or G2, and I think G2 are probably better. So I'll go with G2.
All right, there we go. We've done process of elimination. Um, I want to talk about super quick. We've got a couple things that are just like random other things. We'll talk about NA in a minute. So Complexity have parted ways with Peacemaker, who will land on a team in about 3 to 4 months,
Yep.
as per the Peacemaker cycle.
NIP.
Yep, probably. I'm telling you, man, the Peacemaker cycle is just on team for 6 months, off team for 4 months, and then we repeat cycle.
It's strange, isn't it? Because everything you hear about him from teams and from players who've worked with him is really positive.
Yep.
And like he's been understandably upset on Twitter, like people saying he's a team ruiner, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've heard from it nothing to do with him. Like the
Yeah.
complexity room, like the complexity roster splitting up was largely a fact they were paying too much for average results. That's the biggest reason that team split up. It's nothing to do with Peacemaker, and everything you hear about Peacemaker from inside is positive, and yet he does just seem to keep changing teams. And maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe it's just everyone likes him, but he's not that good. Maybe it's just a save facing. I don't know. But he does seem to just keep changing teams more than any other coach, even though everyone has positive things to say about him inside the thing. So it's probably a case where he's nowhere near as bad as the public perception is, but he's also probably not as good as people who've
What?
worked with him
Yeah.
think he is.
Yep. I don't
That's
know.
what it seems to me.
Peacemaker's gonna probably go to some no-name team for a little while, um, and then he'll go and just be on Nip or something.
Yeah.
It
NIPP. That's such an underwhelming move if it happens, isn't it? Like, ah,
yeah, okay. Um,
it's frustrating.
next next little thing I want to get to: Hellraisers just signed the Gucci Squad, a team neither of us have ever heard of.
It's kind of a shame. They're going to lose the name Gucci Squad and become Hellraisers.
You know what? That is a good point.
Like, Gucci Squad is a much better name, and I haven't seen their logo, but it's a better logo than the Hellraisers one. no matter what it is.
Okay, wait, no, it's kind of terrible.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up now.
Hold
It
on,
can't be worse than the Hellraisers one. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sending it to you. It's just
Okay, yeah, that
kind of
if it's
terrible.
not good, but it's better than the Hellraisers one.
It's just like that's just not bad. That's just not
It's
good.
it's bad, but it's not Hellraiser's eyebrows bad.
That too. They're
So
they're keeping their coach though, which is nice.
yeah, I think if you're signing a full squad, you should just keep the coach. It makes no sense otherwise.
No, like they're keeping the Hellraisers coach, keeping Logan.
Oh, that is strange. Maybe the Gucci squad don't even have a coach. I have
My
no
guess is
idea.
they don't have a coach.
Probably.
Yeah,
If they were unsigned, it's quite difficult to convince a coach sometimes.
yeah. All right. Let's talk about the last bit of today's episode. Talking about some Valorant news. Now,
Sort of. I mean,
kind
sort
of.
of. We're talking about North American Counter Strike, so that is Valorant basically.
Yeah, the North American Counter Strike feeder system, Valorant.
Yeah.
Um, so we're talking about Nitro was officially released last night. Officially transferred from 100 Thieves last night. As per the tweet says.
Yeah.
Um, and we now have very strong rumors from HLTV that says that Liquid is looking at getting OC. Which, if that wasn't in your mind, where are you? Like, if you
Yeah,
didn't
I
think that
think
this was a possibility, where are you?
you probably should have been expecting it, realistically.
So I think that puts us onto the rumors now of Liquid having Naf and Elish, who, by the way, Naf turned it up recently. Naf has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's a really good player, so like
It's not
you would
surprising.
expect him to be the second best player on Liquid. So it's it's not that surprising. We have seen him being this good before.
Mhm. And then we're looking at for the last 3 slots of this roster. There are how many people? 4 people that are rumored now for them. We've got
Yeah.
Vinny, we've got Shocks, we've got Nitro, we've got um, OC. And I actually believe that Vinny said he wasn't going to Liquid.
I think HLTV said that had cooled down. So I think that one's dead in the water. I think the roster will end up being Naflight, Elige, Shocks, OC, Nitro.
All right, that sounds about right to me.
I think Stewie's out,
I think
and I think
Stewie's
Fallen's
out
out.
for North American Cloud9 reunion, kind of on EG.
So, from what I last heard, which was a while ago,
yeah,
he was being courted by both EG and indeed Cloud9. But I don't know if Cloud9 are actually coming back or if they're just putting the feelers out. I think they're coming back, but
I was gonna say, I think you and I heard the same rumors.
yeah,
Probably because I heard them from you.
quite possibly.
And from what I remember from what you had said is those things. I don't know why I decided to go on that tangent of what I just said.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, Stewie, I'm pretty sure, unless something else has changed, I think Stewie is off, and either EG or Cloud9, depending on which project he likes more, I assume. I don't know.
Yeah. I was talking with some Valorant people recently. I was talking about how different teams of Valorant could improve. And one of the people that we were talking about was Grim might go to Valorant after this. That might
That'd
be
be
it.
sad.
It would be very sad.
He's really good, and Liquid just ruined him, man.
Yeah,
Wasn't he like one of the better players in the Astralis series they won? And it's like, just fucking let him play, man. Like, why are you turning Grim into Taco? Like, it's infuriating. He's really good. Like, please send him to, just put him on the new Cloud9 team and let him actually play the game because he's really, really good.
So in my head, right? If if Cloud9 isn't having a team, there's not a huge amount of spots in North American Counter Strike right now. There are a decent amount of players, especially with the ones that are looking at coming back. I mean, we see that Automatic should be coming back, as far as we're aware. Nitro's coming back. there's not a whole
I
ton
think if
of.
automatic comes back, it's probably to go on the new C9 roster. I think that would be the only
Well,
thing that would drag him back.
I I think automatic's coming back and going where Stewie's going. If Stewie's going to
Yeah,
EG, then automatic is going to EG.
yeah, maybe.
But my point is, if Cloud9 brings a roster back, then we have a lot more spots, and Grim probably stays in Counter Strike because there's a spot to stay in Counter Strike. Then the problem is finding a spot on if
Yeah.
Stewie and Automatic are coming back and going to EG and Breezy and Cirque are staying there, then there is one spot on that team, and there's a lot of people that are vying for that spot. I can think of like Rush could be a good for that spot. Tarek may want to come back playing streaming for that spot. There's definitely North American players that might want that spot.
I kind of like Rush, but it's a bit underwhelming if you get him.
I'm not saying that's my favorite move. I'm just saying like there are a decent amount of North Americans right now who they don't have an org or they don't have a team right now.
There's no reason to sign Rush when Malbs. I guess money is the only reason you would sign him over Malbs. I'm pretty sure Malbs' buyout is pretty high,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I like Rush. I always did, but I think now is probably not the time to sign him if you're Cloud9, unless you really are going for the meme team of just bring back everyone who's won a major for us. I mean,
Yeah.
Tarek's doing nothing.
Yeah. All right, you got any last words? You got anything? Any other things?
I don't think there's anything else that's really been going on. Like we're really just waiting for Blast to end so we can get on with the with Rostermania.
Yep. That's where we're at right now.
And it's like it's really difficult. It's unfortunate for Blast, but it's really difficult to actually care about this tournament when half these
Everywhere.
teams won't look like this in a week,
Yeah.
and the other half are rubbish, other than Navi.
Yeah. Yeah. There. Yeah. That's all. I think that's the best way to explain what's going on right now in Counter Strike. If you're looking for a TLDR here, it's all of the dead teams are here and we're waiting.
Yeah, we're just kind of. I really want to see the new G2
I want
when
to
it
see. There's a
happens.
lot of new teams that I want to see, but we won't get them yet.
Yeah,
All right.
difficult.
With that, then we're gonna get going for the time. My name is Logan Ramhap. This is Aizyesque. You can find us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at Aizyesque, and at ReadTLDR. We will see you again next week talking about Blast. We got 2 more podcasts left in the year.
Yeah.
2 more. It's gonna be fun. All right. See y'all.
Peace.